Well, good day, folks. It is a hot, humid July day and working on some paddles. These are a few more like whitewater style paddles that I've been working on. The first one over here is one that I made a few years ago. Nice T-handle for the whitewater. I've got a dowel epoxied through that T to lock that together. And this is dadoed in or rebaited into that T as well. You can see I've kind of cut this in an octagon. And then at the when it comes close down to the handle there, it's pretty well rounded out, that octagon. So I've got a nice, just slightly ovaled shape there. I don't know why I left the octagon up here. I guess I just kind of liked it. And then what do I have in the blade here? I think I've got, it's a maple shaft with two pieces of maple flanging the outsides, sandwiching two pieces of mahogany, it looks like. There's that one. It's seen some nice, fun, good service. And then here's three more on their way. So this is the glue up blank stage. You can see I've got my handle on here and my dowel epoxied through, drilled and epoxied through there. I've got a center line marked out, but I'll scribe out some octagonal lines here as well to follow to make that cut. And then I've got my blade drawn out down here. This one has been glued together with epoxy. And I think both these ones, I think maybe one epoxy, the other one I used a polyurethane glue, PL Premium. Thought I'd give that a try and see how it goes. But the epoxy is pretty much a sure thing. What is this? This has got a little bit of curly maple on here. Looks like an ash shaft, a little bit of curly maple and cherry wings on the outside. And this one is, again, got, ash, mahogany ash. And that one there is, what is that one? That one's a maple shaft, mahogany and ash wings on it. So these are at different stages. This one, of course, has been glued up and drawn out using my template. My half template there to draw out that shape. This one's been cut on the bandsaw and then cut that way on the bandsaw as well. What's this one at? Yeah, this one's been cut this way, starting narrow down there, coming up, flaring out as you get to the handle. And then this one's, I've been working on the one side with the spoke shave, cleaning it up. And this one I think has both sides kind of cleaned up with the spoke shave. Yeah, it's not bad. So I guess the next step with this one here is to finish off. This one has that marked out for the octagonal handle. So this one I could finish up that octagonal portion. I usually leave the handle to the very end, so I've got a little bit more work to clean up on the blade here. Got that center line marked. You can see that down the edges of the blades. So I'll keep coming in towards that and then round that over. A little bit more work to do on the shoulders and a little bit more to take out in here, just to thin that down a little bit more. But that one's starting to get pretty close. And once I get to a certain point, I can hit it with the, I'll probably just hit it with the orbital sander and give it a nice clean up and finish, and then some oil. So there we go. It's a day for powder work in the shop. Paddle blank glued up. Two centerish kind of strips of mahogany and then some nice sugar maple on the outsides. Epoxied together now. I've got the handle on. This is cut out here like in, this is cut out here like in all the other ones. And I drilled just the handle itself through, not the shaft yet. So get this on. If you try and mark out and drill the shaft ahead of time, then it always ends up not quite lining up. So, but I find it better to epoxy the T-handle on pre-drilled this side and this side, and I drill that before I rebate this part here out for the handle. I'll drill that through, make sure it's nice and square on the drill press, and I can make sure that hole's nice and straight all the way through and not offset. Mark out and drill one side and then the other side and meet them in the middle and make sure it's nice and drilled through and the holes aren't offset at all, so that peg is going to run all the way through, not want to split anything. I can put it back on the drill press and follow that hole and drill through the handle, and then put the dowel, epoxy the dowel in. Well, good day, folks. Another hot summer day, and I'm working on canoe paddles. Well, I have been working on canoe paddles. So I have the blade all epoxied together. So, bit of clamping, everything's nice and straight, and then I did lay out the blade on here using my little MDF, or no, this is actually just a hardboard template, and I have a center line here as well marked in. Here's the handle ready. It's kind of tricky getting that 1/2 inch hole all the way through. You just need a longer bit, but it's possible on the drill press there. And I have then this also drilled out for that dowel to run through. Now the dowel, it's so humid in the summertime that this dowel was a little bit swollen to get through a 1/2 inch hole. It's like a little bit more than a 1/2 inch, I guess, right now. So I did clean it up a little bit with the this little guy, and then with some sandpaper. So it's probably not perfectly round. Well, it is definitely not perfectly round anymore, but really close. But I think the any little gappage, you can see little bits of gappage there, will get filled in with the epoxy. See a bit of light through there, I think. That'll focus. But anyways, it's not, it should slide in easily, because if it's too tight going in, it will just split this piece, which kind of sucks. It did happen on one that I did here, but I think I just added some more epoxy to it, and I think the epoxy is going to hold that together. You can see how it, yeah, split that out. We'll see. If it doesn't, then this gets cut off shorter and another handle gets glued on. Put a little bit of an arc on the handle here, and I did that with the large compass. You can see there, I marked that with the compass. And then I transferred using the square, I transferred that liner on the other side and marked the other side as well. And that line kind of disappeared. So they weren't in the exact same spot, because I think I did this on the belt sander over there, that guy, and I think that table is pretty square to the belt. But I guess it could be off a little bit, and my squaring around the shaft might have been off a little bit. And then I used the red marker to mark out my corner cutouts. I'm going to take those out with the spoke shave probably, and the jack plane. Get that down, do a stop sign shape. And I just did that with my hand. So if you just set it off like that, off of your finger, off of my fingers. And then I can just, I would just rotate the paddle around and then turn around and come back this way and try and keep this pen in exactly the same position. So I'm doing all the moving of the paddle with my left hand, so I can keep my drawing hand in the exact same position on the pen. And that, to me, gets it, I mean, I'm sure that's not perfect, but it gets it pretty darn close. Into the pull shave horse, and I'll use this guy with the flat bottom to try and get the this angle knocked down, and I can use the planes too to some extent. I just can't get up into these ends with the planes, but I might start with them actually and see how that goes. That's pretty good. I'll just keep working at that, and then I'll finish the ends with the spoke shave. Curved sole. If I can get too tight. Back at the vise bench, and I'm going to use these various rasps and files to try and get some shape on the handle here to hold it. Put that end sitting on a plank and this end in the vise, and see what I can manage to get out of this end for the handle. But these little raspy things, I forget where I got them, but they're amazing. They really, this is the round one. They remove material pretty quickly, I think almost as fast as this aggressive rasp. But these more sort of cut and they have a bit of a cleaner finish and just a bit nicer. This guy here is just really tears a lot, and if you slip, you do a lot of damage on a nice surface. If you skip off what you're working on and hit something else, these not so much, but yeah, they're super nice. Like I said, they leave a nice, pretty smooth finish. Not going to need a lot of work with the file and sandpaper to get after that. Probably couldn't see what I was doing at all, but that's kind of getting there. Down to working on the handle here, trying to get this handle shaped and trying to thin it a little bit this way. I've got using these calipers. Kind of there, and then I'm still a bit thick up in here. There we go. A little bit thick up in here. Until I get up to almost the top here still. So I've got still a bit more to take down here on the sides, which I'm using this little block plane for, and this lovely saw bench. So I'm not sitting on it, I'm just kind of pulling that through as far as I can up to where the paddle is. and I can still press on the foot lever to clamp that into place. And then I can run the plane across here and just sort of slowly take this down to where I want it. And here's my setup for doing a bit of plane work on this or shaving work on this. And I'm using mostly these two spoke shaves. This one's got a flat bottom, and this one here has this convex bottom for getting in and around these shoulders and for getting this sort of scooped out. Yeah, so basically just using those guys to try and clean this up and bring this shoulder down towards this center line, get a nice round over here, and get this bit more material taken out of this section here to lighten up a bit of weight, but still leave a fair bit of stiffness through here. You want a bit of chunk here just to keep this stiff through this transition of where your hand is sitting. There's a lot of torque right in this sort of top section of the blade below your hand. So keep a little bit of meat here for some stiffness, and then flare the blade out as we get down to the tip there. And I usually leave the tip just a little bit beefier on the tip too for some impacts. It's all pretty much by eye from here. I have these couple of lines to follow, but well, good day, folks. It's a lovely rainy fall day out there, nice and chilly and damp. Nice to be inside. I've got a couple of paddles here that got finished and used. Here are little wear marks on them, and I just thought I'd show you the finished product of the paddles. I don't think I got a chance to do this before we did finish them and go for a paddle. This is what I use, all back raw linseed oil. It's a lovely linseed oil. Oops. And then I used a paste wax. I think you can use any paste wax. I used this that I had around, furniture paste wax on top of it. And you can just keep adding paste wax periodically. And it seems to give it a really nice natural finish, a really nice natural feel of the wood. I don't really like coating finishes very much, especially like the varathane or urethane type finishes, especially on a paddle where they're just going to crack and a little bit of water in and you get black stains and you can't recoat them. And I much prefer this. And on this paddle I tried, this is what I usually do on paddles. And this paddle I tried this Osmo, which I've used quite a bit in other applications, and I decided to try this little bit I had left over, or this little can, whatever I had from something, and I really liked it. It's it beads the water a little bit and holds the water out, so you don't get quite so much absorption of water into the paddle, so it stays a little bit lighter than with the oil and wax, and keeps it shine, like just that matte or that satin shine better. Whereas this is, you know, like I say, periodic recoats of the wax and buffing to get any little bit of sheen on it at all. But yeah, I quite like this. I would use either again, but both I really like. This is a bit of a coating finish, but it can be touched up or reapply. You don't have to sand it right off again to touch up or reapply. There you have it. Well, thanks for checking all this out.